Hello, it's 5 AM, right, and although I'm safe now, I saw a group of ruffians up there and I thought that they were going to come and attack me. I wasn't worried about them smashing my face in, I was worried about them stealing my iPod because I'm currently listening to Hulk Hogan's wrestling CD from 1995. That was my main concern. Anyway, off to do the radio show and the stand-up tomorrow. Don't go to a 24-hour garage when you're hungry. Alright, I've just blown my wages on a load of Freddos. Red sky at night, pollution. We actually live in between a bargain booze, which you can see down there, and the church, which you can't see. A church and a bargain booze, so we're alright depending on what mood we're in. My elderly neighbour said you really shouldn't go in there, you know, it can lead you down the wrong path in life and lead you to a destructive life. I said, you're right, we'll go to bargain booze instead.
Freak.
Hello, I'm packing for London and going through a quarter-life crisis, as you can see. Got my eyebrow pierced again. It wasn't as painful in 2006. It's getting a bit infected now. I think my body's rejecting it on grounds of it making me look like a fucking cunt. As do these hats. I've gone through because it's going well in London, and I'm getting all these. I'm not going to put them on. All right, but it's really good. The weekly trip to London. I'm just looking through my old clothes to see if I do have any good ones. We went shopping. Tina sweetly took all the money that we'd saved for her birthday and spent it on a nice suit for me, and my parents contributed the other half of the money for it, and it was really nice of them. And I'm just looking through here on my old clothes to see if I fit into any of them, because they used to be quite smart. Tina and I realise we don't fit into any of our old clothes. We are not the Ken and Barbie that we once were. But nevertheless, London is going well. I go there every week. I go on the coach, which is a bit hellish because I'm kind of bored of all of that since I used to go all the time to wrestling. I'm forever on a National Express coach. Go to London and then I walk from the coach through to Victoria Station, which is really weird because I've seen on the internet loads of celebrity blogs. They're always walking through Victoria Station. Then I go into the building. It's a really nice building. Looks really legitimate. And I'm kind of finding myself suddenly immersed in the world that I've always wanted to be in. And this has also been turned into an impromptu tidy up. Adam Gisborne saw this. He said, oh, is that your interactive planetarium? As if like everyone had. Do you remember that, Tina? Mm-hmm. He said, oh, is that your as if it's like every household has one.
I just cut your head off, is that alright?
It's fine.
Can I do it again?
That's okay, because like I'm planning to cut your head off in the way that I have in common with Henry VIII. We both proposed to our wives before we even met them. We don't yet have in common that your head was cut off. I'm going to cut this as well. I have no body clock, right? My sleep pattern is non-existent. But on Wednesdays I'm forced to not only be up in the day, but be up for roughly 24 hours. Meaning at this point now, Tuesday night, for me to get to sleep right now on cue, in time to get up early tomorrow, it involves basically days, nearly the whole week of intense planning to try to condition my body clock to a normal hours, which is then wrecked by being up so long tomorrow. So intense planning has gone into me feeling tired right now. I always wake up this time and then can't get back to bed. I've been up for about 20 minutes actually, and it's such a long day, with, what I find to be quite high pressure contents, meetings and radio and stand-up. When I come back it'll be 4 AM. It's such a long day. Victoria Station. Everybody, if you see that Tortilla place behind us at the moment, that is where we have all of our big TV meetings and lots of people who are big in the entertainment industry as well as our guests. And at the moment, the exciting news is that we've got a new sponsor. Father Ted's House, the tourist attraction, is sponsoring us. And I'm sure that one day, that place right there, that's going to be on a tourist attraction as well.
I haven't seen it. I didn't get any of it. All I see is the camo and normal.
With the sequence, there's a book called Introduction to Time, an excellent series of books, and they just knocked his hand away.
Well, we don't have any evidence that this... Did we not
Well,
have
we
the
do,
evidence
but
at
that
last minute?
evidence
Never
exists,
occurred.
that
Never occurred.
Evidence
no?
Never
exists
occurred.
now inside the camera. So here's the thing. In this book, a guy, I think Craig Callender, Ralph Edney, he says, imagine two people watching a basketball game. They see Team A score, then Team B score, then someone gets injured.
Well, continuing the theme of last week, I'm on the way to the comedy club with loads of police cars around me. And the comedy club is right here. Lock up your joke books, the Stand-Up Sitdown team is out on the London comedy circuit. Actually, David and Patrick haven't arrived yet. We always try to think of a crazy landmark to meet at. Last week was a bag that we found in the middle of the street in a lit up box. As you can see, I am dressed up to the nines. It's quite funny because we all decided to sort of wear suits and stuff, and I even wore a hat one week. And then it was each week we started phasing out bits, like I stopped wearing the hat, and then jeans crept back in, and then I started wearing, t-shirts and that. So I've gone back to a smart look tonight. I'm dressed up to the nines, and I'm really excited about the gig tonight. I'm actually going to break out the word stoked. I'm at the point where if a booker says, can you do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I would break out the phrase no problemo. I'm going to be doing the same material as last week for 3 reasons, okay? First of all, the idea of honing something is completely foreign to me. For over a decade, if I've thought of something, I've either blogged it, filmed it like now, or said it on the radio, and then I tick it off my mental list, alright? But with stand-up, it is important to hone it, and I find that you can actually, it sounds obvious, but because I've been taking that approach for 10 years, I hadn't thought that actually you can refine things and get at least 3 laughs out of one idea. That's the first reason. The second reason is for fun, because I'm comfortable with the routine. I'm finding it really fun. This is the first thing I've ever done. Stand-up is the first thing I've ever done in baby steps. It's working, and it's good for my mind, this approach, so I'm not going to change the approach. I'm not going to bite off more than I can chew. I always do that, and it always ends badly. The third reason is that each time I hit a new club, I want to leave the best impression with them. The best way to do that is with material I'm comfortable with. So that's the plan for today. The problem is that I'm not officially booked. It's just a walk-in spot, so I'm going to get there about 4 hours early to make sure I'm on the list. Tonight was the first ever comedy show I didn't pre-book for. They said, come early, so I did come early, 5 hours early, but I waited in the wrong pub, so I didn't get on tonight. Yeah, I can get on the next Gloucester one.
How do you know?
Because it's the 11:30, which is the one I've got the ticket for. We just run all the way. Ran all the way to get an earlier coach. The next one is my coach, 11:30. Pub then? What a day. See, the problem is, there's all this travelling to it, and so I'm given the illusion that I'm really achieving something each week, but really, people who live in London do stand up every day around the corner.
The thing is, if you have a train,
6 days a week.
You have a train book.
That is pretty amazing, isn't it? A hotel with a fish tank.
Not a hotel. It's a company.
Company. Well, that's even more impressive.
It's a business.
Look at that. long day. I always get up at 4 AM and I travel to London. And then I come back and it's 4 AM now, so in that 24-hour period every week I do the radio show and travelling, 9-hour round trip, meetings and the stand-up. And today the problem with the fact that I didn't actually do the stand-up in the end, that I couldn't get on the bill, is that I lived the whole day as if I was doing it, and the problem with that is the inherent nerves. Because I still get nervous. It's one level of nervousness though. I don't think I'd be any more nervous if there was like, 10,000 people in the crowd. Actually, I think that would be better because it would be like a faceless crowd. When I get back from London I bring some cat treats, and our little pack of cats are all celebrating and washing each other like it's a big celebration, like I've been out hunting. Okay, little friends. Getting him?
Yep.
There you go, little ones. The workload isn't over because, Tina, you're in the background and you say I can't use you.
Sorry.
Are you staying in there?
Yeah.
I don't mind, it's just you say I can't use you. The workload isn't over because I've got to edit the MP3 of the show to cut the songs out, write the blog and edit videos. David Parrish has also kindly given me an extra bit of workload, asking that his stand-up material that I shot be sent to him, which is fine, and I've already done that. And actually the video tags that were automatically generated when I put in the name David Parrish were unfunny, cringeworthy, deluded, overrated. So. Tina, look at this congregation of little cats that are friends now, after having been enemies. And look at this little shaved nutter. Baby's been shaved. Such an easy joke about a shaved poo. We had Matt Welcome on the show, and when he arrived at the On-FM building, he went up to the receptionist and said, "Hello, I'm here to see Ed Surname." And she said, "What? What's your name?" And he said, "Matt Welcome." Yeah. TNT Tuesday night at Toriano's, a London comedy club, and I was asked to give some quotes about my comedy colleague Neil Bircher, who's doing stand-up for them, and my quotes made the poster. Not all of them. Watching my comedy colleague Neil Bircher live left me in stitches. I was assaulted by association. When Neil Bircher told me he was doing stand-up, I burst out laughing. From all the live stand-up I've seen, Neil Bircher is in my top 10 favourite. I'm looking forward to seeing my second show. Cleverer than it seems, that one. In a time where stand-ups confuse comedy with popularity, it's refreshing to watch Neil Bircher. Neil Bircher went and took the microphone and said the funniest things I've ever heard into the microphone, and I was in the audience listening to his jokes, and I really laughed at them and really enjoyed the night because of Neil Bircher. I'm a comedian myself and I'm currently playing a deluded character. From now until I go away again, I'm contacting producers and phone calls and all manner of things like that. And it's not snot. It's the skin of the top of a mug of milk that I heated up. I'm doing all manner of things, contacting producers and editing, writing, making demos, stuff like that. And sending emails mostly. Annoyingly, my email has been hacked, so I had to let all my friends know. David Parrish let me know that if he gets any weird emails about toy lions and spandex, he'll know that they're from me. When I first started the radio, I couldn't find time to do all of this stuff. It's only recently that I've just started doing my homework again, because originally it was this that I did for years, then I did the radio, and it's only recently I've just started doing this. But in my absence, one thing I didn't miss is all the business talk that came with speaking to production companies and advertising companies and things like that. I didn't miss the business talk. Things like, we offer high-impact custom online and offline campaign solutions through our contextually relevant portfolio of innovations. What, you mean you stream videos of tits? Radio news for the Stand-Up Sit-Down. Next week, episode 20, we will be doing a really good talking point. Delusions of grandeur versus necessary confidence and ambition. As in, everybody that I like in show business that's been successful have always had the ambition from early on, and in their early interviews they've said their plans with conviction. Contrast though with some people who have actually, they've had delusions of grandeur and they've got all these plans and they are deluded. My mini conclusion, without going into the topic, which I'll say now, my mini conclusion is that I think that you can say you're not deluded if you are able to be self-aware and make mini steps along the way and change if things aren't working. And I also think that actually, you know, Elvis, for instance, said when he was younger he was going to one day play Las Vegas. I don't think you'd ever play Las Vegas by accident if you didn't have that ambition. But we're going to go into it in depth on the show next week. And it's going well because I've learned that we are the first show in station history to be repeated in the week 5 times. And also, Wednesdays when we broadcast, on Wednesday's the highest rated day, and it's the most sought after day by the presenters. There's loads of other presenters from other days that are trying to change to Wednesday. So good news. The Stand-Up Sit-Down, episode 18, where we talked about compromise, we had a debate where we talked about how if you want to go into show business, of course it's naive to think that a big channel will just give you a TV series right off the bat. You have to ingratiate yourself in there, get in there, and it would be naive to think that that would happen without you having to compromise at some point. I'm not against compromise. For instance, I play radio songs on my show, even though I don't want radio songs and I think that they break up the chat. But the question was to what extent. And on the radio show, I think we were both happy, Patrick, David and I, we were all happy with the sides that we gave. But the bad part of the radio is that you kind of listen to it back and you think, it's not like a conversation, you know. In conversation you can stop, you stop speaking, there's breaks, you speak at your own pace. On the radio show you feel dead air and you end up filling dead air and you end up saying things not that you completely disagree with. You don't end up saying like the polar opposite of what you think, but you could always phrase it better. That's what I think about how I phrase things. I listen back and I think I could have phrased that better. So because the issue of compromise is such an important one to me, I thought that I would reiterate my point here and now with a more thought out way of summarising it. 2 things to summarise, okay? The issue of compromise. Yes, a channel won't just give you your own series if you're an unknown, although when I phoned Channel 4 they were kind enough to give me a quote about my show, which I was really pleased with. I stand by what I said in the radio show, that my approach in the past has worked, namely not compromising my project and ideals has worked. And in the past I've tried to compromise and I've got nothing from it, and then I was left with nothing. So that was really annoying and disheartening. The 2 points I wanted to reiterate though is that first of all, you never know who's listening. So I don't want to go around the show business circuit and risk somebody hearing me give an impression that I'm willing to do anything to be on TV, because that's not true. I'd much rather that somebody hear me say about my project and go like, I know exactly what I want and I know exactly how to implement it, which is true. So I'd much prefer to get that impression across. You really don't know who's listening. I, running the radio show, consider guests, and I've heard people say things like, I've just heard people in conversation say, I wouldn't try unless I was doing it for a big channel. I wouldn't bother if it was just like some little radio interview. And I think, well, they wouldn't make a good guest for the show then, so I'll remember that. And it's like, you don't know who's there in the room. I'm not saying I'm the equivalent of running a big TV channel. I'm just saying you never know who's there. The other thing is, of course they would make a good guess, because then we can make that the talking point. Is that right or is it wrong? So it would work for our show, but you know what I'm saying. The other thing is, at what extent to compromise? Well, I wouldn't want to get in with a TV company by presenting a gardening show, for instance, because it's completely unrelated to my project of documenting my whole life and journey through show business. Yes, it would help because I'd get camera experience, but I'd much prefer a much more relevant body of work. That's why I've decided to compromise in a way, but do stand-up because it's more of a relevant body of work, and that means that I know that TV producers meet stand-ups, and it's a good way of getting in. In fact, lots of people do it, and it's a good way of getting in and ingratiating yourself with the right people. So there you go, that's my compromise. But at no point would I do something that I think is unrelated to what my end goal is. That's all I'm saying. And so there are some people that would compromise and, for instance, write a book about something completely unrelated to what their end goal is, and I'm just saying I can't envision myself doing that. But of course, if I change my mind, I'll document it here, because that's the whole project. That's where I'm at right now. Something that I've learned since I've actually got into the London circuit and started meeting people is I've met people that have not replied to me in the past through email, and I've learned that that lack of replying wasn't personal. They're just really busy, or sometimes they didn't even get it, or sometimes it was just unsuitable, but the volume of emails they get, they didn't, you know, they couldn't reply, or whatever. It wasn't personal, but it still makes it annoying, because when I was checking my emails just now, I was expecting a reply to a gig request, and they said send me a bit about you, and I've sent things, and it's like, I know for a fact that they've booked people that are factually worse than me, and this is both understandable, because I'm sure that everyone in your own life, whether it's going for a job interview or whatever, has been in my situation and felt this way, but it's also petulant for me to say it. It's like, it's not the right way forward. I can't think like this anymore. You just have to bite your tongue, keep going, and never give up. But it is frustrating. I feel, the reason it's frustrating, I feel like saying, you know, there are some comedians that they just have names that are really hard to spell, or they're unmemorable. Even my name, Ed Surname, is, I'm not saying it's a hilarious joke, but it shows that I've put thought in. Don't they know that I travel 4 hours there and 4 hours back to a gig? That at least shows dedication. You know, I've had comments by The Sun made about me, like good ones, and I know of other comedians that are really famous now, without naming names, that when they were like 32 they had to make up a comment from The Sun. I got a good one when I was early 20s. So it's like, don't they know this? They do, because I send it them. I'm showing them videos where I'm really confident on stage, and I've only done like, you know, 3 gigs at the time or whatever. Like, doesn't it count for anything? But I can't think like this because it's destructive and it's not the right way to go forward. So you just have to knuckle down and get on with it. Having said that, I'll see if he's replied now. No. By the way, I do actually want this hot milk. I didn't just do it deliberately to get the skin off. Did I only get 9 Freddos?